Hola mi gente, Marcucci here again in another video, and today we're going to be talking about WhySolana, and this is the perfect video if you're a beginner, intermediate, expert, whatever it may be. If you're into Solana, if you're not into Solana and want to get into it, if you want to send this to a friend, this is the perfect video for you because we're going to be talking about all the great things that Solana is doing, why I'm so bullish on Solana. Full disclosure, obviously I'm invested in Solana. I believe, they're going to be the future of finance, RWA, everything, right? I truly believe Solana is going to be the next big thing. And this just proves it. This whole presentation, we're going to be going about 3 different topics about why tokenization, why Solana as infrastructure, and why Sol as an asset. And before I start off, I just want to say this quick thing is all the way down here. But if we take a look at Solana is a high growth asset. It's a fastest tech platform to reach 100 billion in market cap in the shortest amount of time. So it took Apple 31 years to reach 100 billion in market cap. Nvidia, it took 24 years. Amazon, 17 years. Tesla, 17 years. Microsoft, 15 years. Facebook, 9 years. And Google, only 7 years. It has taken Solana 5 years. So it's the fastest tech company to ever do that. That is amazing. And a historical growth rates from 2020 until 2025 is I think this compound annual growth rate is of 181%. Obviously, there's huge swings. I started buying Solana when it first came out. It went up all the way to like the 200s, and then it came crashing down to I think like 6 or 8. So it's this compound growth. It's a lot of highs and a lot of lows. So if you're not into that, if you're not into volatility, we will talk about why volatility is good. But so the key takeaways is Solana grew 181% from 2020 until 2025, 3x more than Bitcoin and 2x more than Ethereum. If Solana grows from today's price of 213 to 2000 medium term potential by December 31st, 2030. It would be only at 52% CAGR, so a compound annual growth rate. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. So without further ado, let's get right into it, and let's get why I think this is going to happen, right? So the internet is $1 trillion disruption. So the internet disrupts a lot of companies, right? From commerce, media, communications, creating trillions in dollars for these new corporations that have first started. So in media, they talk about Blockbuster. Blockbuster peak market cap was only 5 billion. Obviously, it was 2004 and it went bankrupt in 2010. So there's a lot more money there is now than there is back then. But still, Netflix, market cap is $520 billion, which is actually insane. And Sears too, Sears peak market cap was 23 billion. Amazon is at 2.5 trillion in market cap. Completely ridiculous. We've seen other industries, kind of start or dissipate, like taxis to Uber to communications for AT&T, now Meta. So yeah, in 10 years, tech companies have reached 34% of the S&P 500. So the Max 7, I think that Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Apple, Google, all those account for 34% of the whole S&P 500. And I think that's just going to keep increasing, right? The S&P runs on those companies, and they are what keeps the S&P running and what keeps the whole country running. So digitalization increases both number of users and number of assets. So this happens, right? Everyone now has access to a phone. Everyone now has access to internet. Back then, there's like 20,000 TV shows globally, and there's 4.3 billion videos and 114 channels on YouTube. So if you're watching this video, you're lucky to be one of those. I love you so much. But yeah, anyways, investors, there's 800 million global investors, but everyone has a smartphone, right? So, and that's what's good about, Solana and other companies, right? Ethereum, Cardano, whatever blockchain you may use. Everyone has a smartphone, and if you have connection to the internet, you could be access to all these different types of assets. And investable assets, there's 50,000 public companies, which obviously there's more stuff to invest. You don't just have to invest in public companies, but investing in like private companies or precious metals and all that kind of stuff is a little bit harder. So for most people, they invest in the 50,000 public companies, but there's millions and millions and millions of tokens being created on the blockchain. And finance has yet to be disrupted, right? It's the largest category compared to everything else. There's in traditional finance, there's $500 trillion, but it's still local, slow, and fragmented by intermediaries. In just derivatives and real estate, there's what, I don't even know how many trillions that is, gazillions, bazillions. The traditional markets work with with people, right? It's open 9 to 4, 5 days a week. It depends where it is. It's usually slow. It takes like 1 to 2 days, maybe 3 days. It's fragmented. There's a lot of intermediaries, but with internet capital markets, it's 24/7, 365 days, all assets in one venue, global by default, peer-to-peer transactions, instant and low-cost settlement. So yeah, it's basically just an upgrade on the global financial system or the global financial infrastructure that has been running around for 30 years and hasn't been updated, which is mind-boggling. And even if it doesn't happen on Solana, even if it happens somewhere else, even if it's not on blockchain, hopefully the traditional infrastructure that we have nowadays, gets updated. And I think this is the next update that's going to happen. So tokenization transforms finance the way the internet transformed content. By 2033, $20 trillion of financial assets will be tokenized. And the optimistic scenario is 23, the conservative scenario is 12 trillion. With that being said though, we're still at the infancy, right? So right now it's less than $1 trillion. So in a couple of years it's gonna grow, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's gonna be true or not, those are the expectations that is going to be increased. I am more on the optimistic side. I think 23.4 trillion seems like an accurate number, but there's still a lot to grow, right? And we need regulatory clarity and institutional standards. Right now, at least here, we have not been able to pass a Clarity Act. Yeah, hopefully it passes once the government shutdown finishes. Hopefully it passes by the end of the year. So Solana is still early, but it leads in all metrics, right? Solana is the youngest chain with the lowest market cap. So right now the market cap is about 131 billion. When they did this presentation, I don't know what it is now. I could check a little bit later. But Solana is early in adoption as an asset by institutional finance, so ETFs and public companies. And Solana leads on all metrics important for internet capital market. And those metrics it's the fastest by transaction time, the most traction, so the most amount of users, the most transactions, and the most fees. It is the lowest cost plus the highest application revenue, most trading volume, most tokens issued, and most USDC stablecoins transfers. And we can see here, right, there have been a lot of ETFs. It says there's 21 Ethereum ETFs, there's 16 public companies holding Ethereum. And for Bitcoin, there's 43 Bitcoin ETFs and 165 public companies holding Bitcoin. Obviously, the Solana ETFs are still pending. I think they're going to happen this week. I'm pretty sure, like 100% sure it's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 days, hopefully, if you're watching this video. But there's 5 public companies holding Solana. I think the biggest one is Forward or FOWRD, I think. I don't know. But it's the one with Kyle Samani from Multicoin Capital, I think he's from. But yeah, Solana has the scale needed for digital finance, and we're going to be talking about a little bit of the technicals. So Bitcoin, obviously, we know a block time happens every 10 minutes. Transactions per second are pretty slow. The launch date was 2009, actually. And Ethereum, there's a block every 12 seconds, 15 to 30 TPS. And the launch date was 2015, so almost 10 years ago. I think 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And Solana, 1 every 400 millisecond, 2 to 4 transactions per second, and the launch date was March 16, 2020. Compared to traditional finance, Stripe does 3,000 transactions per second, Visa does 2.1K, and the Nasdaq does 1.7K. I will say though, Solana is not doing, 4,000 to 2,000 transactions per second at the moment. Right now, I think they're doing about 900 to 1,000, but that's just because people are not on the blockchain just yet. And, Solana still has a lot to improve. And I think they want to scale the TPS to millions and millions more. We'll see that in a little bit later when we talk about the roadmap. So Solana already leads all blockchains in active addresses, transactions, and fees captured. In July, Solana had 26x more active addresses and 76x more transactions than Ethereum. And I will say though, these numbers, obviously, when we compare, it's a little bit unfair comparing Solana to just Ethereum. Obviously, there's a lot of layer 2s, basis of layer 2, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, or OP. So I will say though, if you add all the numbers up, they're still a little bit, they're still like compared to Solana, right? They're like almost there, but Solana by itself, it's on layer 1, it leads every single one. In June, Solana blockchain accrued 1.39x more fees than Ethereum, so the network revenue was 64 million, which is actually really impressive. Add more users means more fees. On Solana, those fees generate real yield for Solana token stakers. And a lot of people are like, oh my god, the inflation, blah blah blah. Solana is at an all-time high, and it's not in terms of market cap, and it's not at an all-time high in terms of price. Listen, buddy. Stake your Solana and just shut up, because that's what it is, right? It's a proof of stake. You earn rewards when people are using the network. You want people using the network, right? You don't want people not using the network. Most of the people that say that are from blockchains are just ghost blockchains that no one's really using them. So I don't really like to talk about it, but I need to tell people what to do, right? Just stake your Solana if you're not going to be using it. If you are going to be using it and you're active in the ecosystem, then don't stake it. Just use applications and do all that you want. So it's the best chain for apps, low cost for users, but high value for applications. Solana is 150x cheaper to use than Ethereum. I will say that is for the most part true, and that's why I don't like Ethereum. Ethereum at its peak, I used it a lot, and I was when it was like NFT like mania, you were spending like $20, maybe $100 on just gas fees. It was ridiculous. Anyways, applications built on Solana generated 2x more revenues than those running on Ethereum. So app revenue was 9.4 million, and app revenue in the past 30 days was 229 million, which is actually super impressive. We're going to be talking about some of the apps a little bit later. But it is also the best chain for trading. Highest trading volume on Solana. So the monthly trading volume is $118 billion. Like, that's just insane. And you compare that to Ethereum at 86, minus Smart Chain at 75, Base at 41, and Arbitrum at 19. And that's B with $1 billion. Best chain for asset issuance. So most tokens are created on Solana. I think Binance Smart Chain just surpassed them a little bit, but that happens in like 2-3 weeks. Is gonna be Solana again. So yeah, Solana right now is number 1, then Base, then Binance Smart Chain, Polygon, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, Tron, and Plus at 55. Damn. Yeah. And every other chain, I'm assuming there's more tokens being created. I don't think Blast is the 7th most, but that's just what the chart says. And the best chain for payments, most USDC transactions are on Solana, so 18 million monthly transfers on Circle's USDC stablecoin. It follows them Base, Polygon, Arbitrum, Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum, Optimism, Avalanche, Aptos, Celo, and Tron. And Wall Street is being rebuilt on Solana. So back then, traditionally, for payments, you had like Visa, Stripe, the banks, you had Chase, Bank of America, exchanges, the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, Robinhood, DraftKings for social betting. Right now, that's all being, done this, not the same, done differently, right? With intermediaries and built on a decentralized platform. So some of those apps, and the ones that I personally recommend for you guys to look out: Lulo, obviously, Jupiter, obviously, Xstocks, Parcel, Pumped Up Fund. I really, a lot of people talk bad about Pumped Up Fund, but really I think they're doing a lot of great things. So obviously a lot of great, stuff. Squats is doing a lot of great stuff. Camino, Loopscale, Early Bird, they're all doing great stuff. So definitely follow them. If you haven't used those applications, I urge you to please use them if you are interested in Solana. So trading on Solana, Axiom trade hit 100 million in revenue 5 months after launch. Like I can't even fathom, doing 100 million in revenue in 5 months. That's actually insane. Kudos to the team and bless their hearts. Next is tokenized stocks on Solana. So tokenized stocks, obviously X stocks, nearly 4 billion in X stocks have been traded since launch. And Solana captures 58% of transfer volume on tokenized stocks across all blockchains, right? And I'm still really bullish on tokenized stocks on Ethereum with Ondo. But Ondo, as we know, they started, developing their on stocks on Solana, Binance Smart Chain, and I think other blockchains too. So yeah, amazing token reissuance on Solana, on refinance, tokenized traditional reissuance, and integrated with Solana DeFi allows to generate additional yields up to 23% on loop scale. So that is really amazing. And as I mentioned, Pump Fund, a lot of people I know are not, too thrilled with Pump Fund, but I think they're reinventing the wheel. They're doing a lot of stuff that, Pump Fund allows any social media content creator to launch a coin, right? And instead of just depending on the views, ad revenue, all that kind of stuff, people, if they want to donate to you, they donate to you, or, you don't even have to donate. More so, if people believe in you and think that the coin is going to go up, then it's gonna go up, and the transfer volume goes, it's creator fees, and that percentage goes back to you. So views required to earn 65,000 on YouTube, it's 2 million. On TikTok, it's 100 million. Wow, that's insane. And a gaming streamer, Sway, earned 65K in creator fees in just 25 minutes. Obviously, Face Sway, I don't really watch him. I think I know who he is, but those Facecam members obviously have huge following, so it is a little bit harder if you're a small, content creator, but I urge you to start using it and definitely check it out. And these are some institutions that are building on Solana. Franklin Templeton, we've mentioned them already. PayPal, the US government is using Pyth as a Solana protocol, is bringing US economic data on blockchain, enabling faster and more frequent publication of official data such as GDP. We also talk about BlackRock already with their build, Visa, and some stablecoins, right? So Solana is dominating in adoption in AI agents, and if you know me, you know that I'm really bullish on AI agents. I think, everyone eventually is going to start trading with AI agents. And Solana leads that all AI agents is a 3 billion market cap across 800 AI agents. The most notable is A16Z, and it's AI powered. I don't know what the price is anymore, but yeah, then you have Base with Virtuals, ETH with Fetch AI, Near with Mindshare Index AI, and Binance Smart Chain with ChainGPT. So this is really important, and it's a Solana roadmap, and it's a continuous improvement to 1 million TPS. So internet scale performance, globally accessible, nearly instant settlements, and a high throughput. So we are right now 1,069 validators across the globe, 2,000 to 4,000 TPS in the short term, and we've talked about this in other videos in the channel, or not other videos, in other topics in the channel. The Fire Dancer, the mainnet is going to come out, Agave is going to come out, Jito Bam is going to come out in the short term. In the medium term, the Alpenglowing, which is a new consensus algorithm. They want to cut finality time to, I forgot how much it was, but they want to cut finality time, and 00 is our favorite cables for the Solana network. And in the long term, they want multiple concurrent leaders globally, synchronous execution and protocol enforced applications, controlled execution. And I think this is going to be happening by, I forgot, I think it was like 2027, 2028, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, if they can achieve 1 million TPS by, before 2030, it will be actually super impressive. So a lot of people love to talk about, price predictions. So they say that the price can go in the short term, the short-term potential could be $900, right? And that's like 0.5 trillion market cap. In the medium term, it could be $2,000, and the long-term potential could be $6,000, and that's a $4.5 trillion in market cap. So think whatever you may think, believe what you may believe. I think right now, obviously, Solana's going to go up. I have a price target of $1,000 in the short to medium term. But that's just me. Do your own price predictions. Do your own research. Don't believe me. I'm just a guy on the internet talking. But definitely take a screenshot of this and, kind of read it for yourself and see if you agree with it. So the macro tailwinds is the USD is structurally devaluing. The USR has lost 98% of purchasing value over the past century, and I think it lost like 10% in the past year or two. I don't really know. Post-2020 fiscal and monetary policy has triggered persistent inflation, eroding real returns on fiat. Global capital is seeking alternative investments, digital scarce, and productive. So Solana is scarce plus high growth at global scale plus yield bearing. So you can see here the dollar started at $1, obviously, and it has since then gone down every single year. And obviously, that's just gonna continue happening. I don't know what else to say. And the 60-40 portfolio is broken, and it's been broken forever. Just buy Bitcoin, forget about it. Buy maybe a little bit of Solana, buy a little bit of Fondo, and buy whatever AI stock you prefer, Tesla, Nvidia, whatever AI stock you want. It's probably gonna perform very well compared to every other thing that you might buy. We already went over this. So Sol is a yield-bearing asset with a powerful flywheel effect. As I was mentioning, right, there is an inflation rate for Solana, but Solana is giving a lot of yield, right? So right now the yield is about 7%. In January, yield was 12.6% due to the usage. So it ranges about 7% to 13%. The annual inflation rate currently is 4.33%, decreasing 15% per year. Usage fee, real APY, is currently 2.5%. So Solana is the only token that is a high throughput infra, real usage at internet scale, native yield from fees plus tips, and an asset with upside plus cash flow. Bitcoin is neither of those, and then Ethereum has a little like exclamation point. So I know a lot of people that like ETH are gonna say, oh, ETH is digital oil or whatever, and it's ultra sound money, blah 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 blah, whatever. I don't really care, but it is what it is. And Solana digital asset treasuries are the best way to gain exposure or structure exposure. NAV on treasury vehicles as percentage fully diluted valuation. Solana treasury vehicles have room to grow as they're 6.33x smaller than Bitcoin's and 2.7 smaller than Ethereum. Here are the companies. So Sharps Technology, DeFi Development, UpXC, Mercury FinTech, Specimen, and Soul Strategies. I personally would just buy Solana, but if you want to get exposure to these companies, the market caps are looking pretty juicy. I personally just would rather buy Solana and stake it myself. But intrigued your thoughts? Please let me know what you think about the video. As always, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much. I know this is a longer video, but there was a lot of information, and I'm just super bullish on Solana, and I think Solana is going to be the next big thing that shapes traditional finance or whatever is going to change the future. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you send this video out to your neighbor, your cousin, whoever doesn't believe in Solana, or whoever does believe in Solana and they haven't seen this report. Obviously I'll leave this report in the description down below as always. So thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.